I'd like to thank the government representatives here for helping lead us towards more sustainable practices. But I think about what's going on for the tourists in town. We've got green lodging and things that are headed in that direction. But I don't see anything in the restaurants. I don't see anything in the scooter rental places. What can the business community, and I'll go to either end to see who wants to help us, how can we as consumers help change what our businesses are providing us to push us in the right direction?
There has to be an incentive. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary incentive. It has to be a emotional incentive, a community feeling incentive. It has to be something that engages these people into recognizing that going in the direction that you're talking about is something that we all should share in, like a sense of community. And that I don't think has been articulated properly. Not maybe the biggest hotels and things like that you're talking about, but it has to be driven home to the little scooter rental places and the burrito places and all those things. But there has to be a set of goals and objectives we all work towards. I think people will do that if they just know what to do. And I think you're all looking for that nod. And I think that's what we have to tell them how to get there, how to get the nod.
Well, from a business perspective, San Francisco, which is a very complex urban environment, has a recycling rate of something over 70%. And I think if we are going to do this as a community, or have our tourists do it, our visitors, but we need to lead by example. I mean, there are so many things that we can do that would be an example to people coming here that I believe, and I've said this many times, but I believe if we really did this, I mean, really did it, that just the practices that we could invoke here would make that one of the biggest attractions of coming here, just to see it. I mean, we do some of the dumbest things. You know, according to Kessler, two of the heaviest things that we take out of this community are yard waste and glass. Now, we live on a dirt-starved island. We need dirt. We need compost. So all this stuff we send up to the incinerators should be composted right here. Glass is an inert thing, and if anybody thinks they recycle glass, anybody here think they recycle glass when it makes you feel good to put it in the recycling bin? They don't recycle it. They don't make new bottles or anything out of it. They crush it into dust and they put it into road fill. So why are we sending it in a diesel truck up to Miami to be crushed to dust and put into road fill? Crush it to dust here with a simple machine and dump it in the empty rock pits at Rockland Key for future generations to use as fill if they need to. But it doesn't make any sense. And there are so many common sense things that we could do right here. I mean, and what's left over is valuable stuff. I mean, if you took care of yard waste, food waste, and glass, what's left over? You know, electronic goods, metals, cans, aluminum, that's worth money. I mean, we could make this we could monetize our waste instead of spending money to have it shipped north.
Hang on, Sean,
Just really
finish this question, then we'll.
Yeah, just on the glass, the regulations say we can't even turn the glass into road waste anymore. So, I mean, in some ways, that's even a problem. The glass is functionally sand. And so we're exporting the glass, but we also bring in truckloads of sand for our beach. So it actually it's a more ridiculous situation.
Just the ground glass on our beaches.
I would follow, on the business side, the one thing we definitely learned with Lee with our very first version of the Green Business Certification, because it was designed to hit more than just the hotels and everything was, although there was great interest, they still felt very overwhelmed. We purposely made a product that gave a lot of choices and a lot of options, and that meant it was a 10-page thing, and it meant they looked at it and went, and luckily the thing that we're working on now, it's online. So with each thing that we're asking you if you do or we want to, there's a link right there that tells you more about it. There's a link right there that tells you where to buy the product if you need to. So a lot of those pieces are at their fingertips. And with the first pass through of just answering what you already do, it comes up with this great news. You know, you're halfway there. All you need are these other points, and here's what we suggest based on what type of business you are. The one thing that was really interesting in my past research, I worked with the State of Florida's Clean Marina program, which is just for marinas and boatyards. And we actually, there was a couple things. We found that people would not necessarily change if they already had a relationship with a specific marina or boatyard. They would not change based on whether one was green or one wasn't, but they would use that relationship to ask their marina or boatyard to go green. They would apply that pressure. They would also pay more to do so for that person to go green. And one of the things that was really interesting about a green survey we just did of our own folks here in the Keys, many said that they would seek out, and this isn't marina anymore, it's just businesses in general, that they would seek out green places to go if they knew who they were. And so, in pulling all this, both making it easier, and also really, one of the things we got in the comp plan was that the city can and will promote green businesses. That we want to help push that issue, so it will be stronger.
Using that same example, I mentioned the Blue Star operation, we're not allowed to, the federal government is not allowed to promote one commercial business versus another, things like that. That's why we're doing that rack cards outside. But with the Blue Star certification, we were able to do the exact same thing. You go through this program, you voluntarily participate, and while we don't promote one business versus another, we say, here's our website of Blue Star operators, and it's the only ones you're going to find on our website, for the ones that, if you talk to a volunteer here at the Eco Discovery Center, they're going to talk about it. So that is a good motivation, and the government is limited in some of these partnerships, but that is those types of certification programs are fantastic ways to suddenly promote people in the right direction.
Behind.
I have a question back here. You were talking earlier about the actual cost per gallon.
Speak up if you would.
We were talking, Mr. Russo was talking earlier about the actual cost of a gallon of gasoline. What is the actual cost of a 12-ounce can of beer? We have beer trucks coming down the Keys toward us every day, and recycling trucks going up the Keys the other way carrying the used beer cans. Are we all paying our fair share of the cost of recycling those cans? Cans are hauled 200 miles to be wasted or to be recycled. Who is actually paying for that? I don't mind paying my fair share for my beer cans that are going 200 miles back up the Keys. But what about my neighbors right up the street?
Let's do it, and I'll get with you, but for you guys, what are we doing to, commercial recycling is something that's been a tough one to get our hands around, but that's really where I think all of us could recycle all we want, and we're not equal to one bar on Wall Street. So what do we do? How do we either incent them, as Ed wants to do, or the carrot or stick thing?
There was a big debate at City Hall about whether this should be mandatory. I remember this a couple of years ago. And it was going to be mandatory, but it would be voluntary. And I could never put those two together. It quite worked for me. And you've just got to make this mandatory because people aren't going to do it. I mean, there's recycling bins everywhere, and I see. I mean, to your point, I recycle. I know Jody recycles and Allison recycles. And probably all of you do. But we're just a drop in the bucket, and until it becomes big enough to where it's economically feasible, it's never going to work. I mean, to take a truck, a diesel-powered truck, and run around this town and pick up a little box of, tin cans, it just makes us feel good, but it doesn't get us where we need to go.
It's a psychological superiority.
Unfortunately, it does.
Ron,
Yeah,
we'll
a lot of people don't
we got
like
plenty of time.
yeah, a lot of people don't like to be told what to do, and Minnie can start telling them, and there's both sides of the story, to make it mandatory or not, but I know a lot of people, when Minnie be telling them you gotta recycle, that's when it's like, their back goes up and back, well, you're not gonna tell me what to do. So what we look at is other things, we can make it easier for businesses to recycle by making it perhaps cheaper. I mean, I think a lot of businesses down here think, and it can be more expensive to recycle than it is to just dump their trash in the waste. So we're looking at those type of things to incentivize, I can't say that word, incentivize, making it easier for business to recycle. And sometimes they do carry a larger portion of the cost load than residents for waste management and recycling. So we're looking at those things also, maybe make it a little more fair. But people have to want to recycle. We don't have police go in and look at their, like that, but I agree with him, the more you can do to make it, to increase recycling.
Can I just briefly just say, it's not it's not mandatory that you stop at a stop sign for no good reason. I mean, we tell you must stop at a stop sign because it's good for everybody.
Yep.
And recycling and composting and all these practices are good for everybody.
Yeah.
And we should make it the law because it's the best for everybody.
Can I have just one follow-up and then I'll stop? Whether it goes out as trash or recyclables, who is paying for the cost of a six-pack of beer bought at your local grocery store? Are we all paying for that recycling cost or that trash haul cost? Or is the store paying something extra because in fact they're profiting from it?
Actually, the whole process involves a deferred cost. Not only for beer, it's petrochemicals, it's farming, it's all that kind of stuff. All you can do, I mean, the whole there's a whole goal about business.
Well, it's spring break, that's why I'm focusing on beer cans.
Right.
Well, they're not recycling, they're just throwing them.
But there has to be something more than that. And the key is that I pay $26.40 every month to have my garbage taken away. Now, I'm being devil's advocate here because I recycle, but what's my motivation for recycling anything? I mean, $26.40, I can put anything, I can put a dead body in there. They take everything. So, So, in other words, there has to be a fundamental change in how we do things. Now, I know that Allison and the people in the city are working out a new contract with the waste haulers, which is going to happen in a couple of years, and that's where the answer is. It's the answer is take everything away from me for the same amount of money. Again, I'm saying it may cost more, but I'm willing to pay a little more to make sure my waste is being handled safely and properly. And to do that, we have to get the waste manager, whoever wins the contract, to take everything and handle it the right way. Because people are lazy and will get away with doing all kinds of things if you give them an easy way out. You have to take it all, you have to do it the right way. I think Alice is on the right track.
Chris has got to go. I'll let him make some closing remarks. He's going to leave us, but we're going to keep going here.
I so apologize. I saw this quote and I was going to close with it. It is not a healthy sign when we become comfortable in a profoundly sick society. The United States is, unfortunately, for all of our wealth, we are sick in this particular area. And I just hope it's not too late for us to become uncomfortable. We have an opportunity, I think, in Key West and the Florida Keys because of our geographic isolation, because of the size of our community, to really become the example to the world, really, of what good environmental stewardship means. And I really, to my core, I believe that. And I brought bags for everybody. They're at the front door. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you very much for your time.
Chris, before you go, I do want to ask one question of you. What about this Love Your Island campaign that started a couple of years ago? That was trying to change behavior. Where is that at?
That was a committee of the Chamber of Commerce, and I gave it to them, and I don't think anybody's doing it. This takes effort, it takes leadership. I've said this many times, that we have got to get people, our commissioners, our county commissioners, our city commissioners, they have got to carry this banner because they are the leaders, they are the ones that are going to vote and make the decisions. And we have to support them. I mean, if we just say, oh, we're all for recycling and, go do it. It doesn't work that way. I mean, we've got to vocally, physically support these people and elect ones to office who will do it. And if they won't do it, then we need to unelect them.
Thank you, Chris.
My opinion.
To follow up on Chris and this one little question. It really is with both county and the city trying to coordinate their trash hauling or pickup and hauling contracts. If you guys call your commissioners and write them letters, if people in this room did, they'd be 10 times more than they get. Five letters is a landslide to a commissioner. If they got 50, it'll get their attention. I mean, I'll deal with politics. 3 phone calls and they're going crazy.